I found a Nintendo 3DS, but this 3DS has a small problem. It's red, and red isn't my favorite color. It's also broken. But to understand how this 3DS got here, I need to tell you how this 3DS got here.
Okay, so all of that had nothing to do with how I got this 3DS.
I just bought it. It was £27 and I have no idea how it got this bad. But in today's video, we're going to take it apart and see if we can work out what caused this. We're also going to have to see what still works and if there's any hope in fixing it. But what was the significance of the forest and the fact that this video is already a few minutes long and we're all very confused?
What's happening?
Well, I'm not sure if you've seen, but restoration videos are extremely popular, with channels such as Odd Tinkering and TCTube getting upwards of tens of millions of views.
Which of course equals hundreds of thousands of pounds, and where there's money, there's people that want money. The opportunists, the sneaky ones, the Dell boys, the fake restorations.
Ah, look at these guys just going for a casual walk, only to suddenly discover a perfectly dirtied and destroyed handheld games device which needs to be restored. And wow, look, it's a really ancient destroyed fake Game Boy with partial Supreme logo which you can buy today on AliExpress. I wonder how it got so badly damaged. And hey, that's odd. This really badly damaged Nintendo DSi has silver painted buttons. It's almost like they taped up the screens on a perfectly working DSi XL and spray painted it silver. Then they took it all apart and filmed all of the components laid out and clean. Then they filmed putting it all back together. But of course, it doesn't have to work again because they've already filmed it working. Then they take it all apart and purposefully dirty and damage everything and pretend to clean and fix it. Then they just edit it all in such a way that it looks like they got it all clean and working again, and boom, 2 million views.
Now this one is legitimately this terrible. If you don't believe me, by the way, you can search this code into Sendico and it will actually show you the listing where I bought this thing from, so you can see the pictures and the description for yourself. This is exactly as it was when it arrived. I don't think it showed that the hinge here was broken, but it might have broken, you know, recently. It's so rusty. So we're gonna have to try and work out what's actually gone wrong with this thing, but I think it's going to be very interesting to actually see what the inside of something that would be legitimately this bad would actually look like, and the reality of that. Because obviously these fake restoration videos, they show them in a condition similar to this, but obviously all of the dirt has been placed by them, you know, earlier on in the day or the previous day. So when they wash it off, it does look like new again. And obviously it never actually has to work again because they've already filmed it all working. It's all just trickery, but this is actually legit. So yeah, feel free to check the listing out as well. But we're gonna have to now open this up and actually see what's going on inside, and if there is any hope in getting this thing working again, because it is just absolutely abysmal. Before we go any further, I just want to say a massive thank you to the sponsor of this video, PCBWay. PCBWay are an absolutely phenomenal company. They make awesome things. If you are into doing DIY projects, you need to check out PCBWay. They're able to do 3D printing, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, and obviously every single type of PCB manufacturing you can think of. Rigid ones, flexible ones, you name it, they've got it. Once you place your order, you get assigned a technician assistant who is going to help you through the process if this is the first time you've ever done it before. I have actually used their service to make a metal bracket for the kiosk that I restored that's behind me here, and it was absolutely brilliant. I had no idea what I was doing, and they were extremely helpful in making it come to life. So you need to check out PCBWay, and if you don't know what you want to print, well, check out their shared projects where there's loads of different inspiration for things you can just go ahead and make. Check out PCBWay through the link in the description below. Now, my guess for all of this kind of stuff is water damage, but then it must have also taken some sort of a heavy impact as well, because it's all kind of bulged open. Surprisingly, the back doesn't look bulged open, so I'm assuming that the battery is going to still be kind of relatively intact. Now, interestingly, on the listing, they show this plugged in and the power LED is on. Do you know what? There's not actually a battery in there. There's no battery in there. It also kind of looks like there is some mud on here. Now, I should obviously be wearing gloves, but don't worry, I will eat immediately afterwards with my bare hands. Oh, these screws are going to be proper rusty, I'm guessing. Yeah, we might have some screw problems. Damn, right, well, I might have to get the Dremel out immediately because those screws have absolutely had it. Okay, so I have actually put some gloves on because we're now in the territory of small metal shavings, but here we go. We can now lift off the back, and there we have it. And you can see genuine rust. So, you know, that's the first sort of telltale sign of a legitimate damage to a system like this, is actually by looking at the rust. And now, obviously, we've got a little bit of a problem to try and rectify at some point in the form of this. So if I do eventually try and put this all back together, it might be a double-sided tape situation. You know, there is a little bit of screws sticking out of here, so I might be able to pinch onto those with some you know, some little needle nose pliers or something. We'll have to take a look at that later on. But yeah, we're now in, and this is actually not too bad. You know, besides these two little bits up here, this is actually not too bad. So quite excited to just start taking this apart and, you know, looking at all of the different pieces that might still be kind of okay. I am really worried though that all of the screws are gonna be like this because, you know, I can't be drilling out all of these screws because they're absolutely tiny. Thankfully, that one's come out okay. Now, one of the other things I wanted to bring up and talk about is AI restorations. Now, obviously, AI is just a pretty scary thing for creators all round, and I'm certainly not saying that I'm more at risk or less at risk than anybody else, but AI restorations are now a thing. Oh, right, okay. Hello? What? I never said we need to worry about them just yet, but they are still going to be something that people watch. You know, the kind of mind-numbing doom scroll that people go on. It might catch someone's attention, and eventually it's going to get good enough that someone will start watching it, which obviously takes away the views from a genuine creator, and AI might be able to start, you know, kind of making things that are just far more aesthetic, you know, because it's unlikely that these sorts of DSs are going to be found in this condition, because the DSs are not that old, and so creators can't, you know, go out and search for something in this bad condition to make a video. So AI can just, you know, whip one up, and then they can just make a fake restoration. So a little bit scary. But anyway, let's not dwell, because restoration videos are probably the least of our concerns when it comes to AI. These screws are all actually coming out quite nicely, which I'm very, very excited about. So I'm putting the screws over here. Now the screws we can put through the ultrasonic cleaner with a little bit of a kind of a metal, you know, like a watch cleaning solution. And these screws are all gonna come out beautifully. You know, they're not too bad, but they have kind of gone a little bit black on the top and on some of the threads. But like I said, those will be able to be cleaned up really nicely. So we're at the final screw now on the back. So let's remove that. And we can see if the inside of this DS is going to be salvageable. Let's have a look. So here we go. Gently wiggling off the back. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. Oh, okay. Moment of truth time. There's something kind of catching down there. Oh, that was the microphone. Oh my goodness me, I'm so nervous about this. So there's going to be some ribbon cables attached up here. Ooh, wow. Okay, that is bad. Oh, look. You can already see there the shoulder button. The connector has just ripped right off. Can you see? That's not even attached anymore. Not even a hope in hell. That whole thing has come off the ribbon cable and off the board. So that is one big problem immediately. And this is going to be the beginning of all of the problems that this thing is going to have. Let's have a look at this other one. That one is okay. That one is okay. Damn. Okay, so that's the first thing then. So you can see the amount of rust. Now that is genuine rust. That is genuine rust right there. Absolutely shocking. But that can actually be taken out, and well, it's actually just fallen apart. It's actually just a piece of the metal has actually just come off there. But we can set that aside and take this whole piece out, which there's no point in trying to restore that because it's completely had it. But you know, we've got the little kind of SD card door here. Let's see if we can get that out. That should all clean up okay because it's just rubber. You know, it's never going to look great, but it should all clean up okay. So we'll set that over there. I'm a bit worried about all of these ribbon cable connectors now, because obviously if one pin is rusty, you know, then that means that the whole thing won't work. There we go. Okay, so that has now come out. So there is actually the infrared sensor just stuck in there, but the good news is that the connector itself actually looks to be completely free of rust and intact. And then we actually have the small little button itself for the shoulder button. I imagine that that's probably completely had it. especially if this has been near water. But again, it could be something that could be opened up and cleaned. So I'm going to set that over there. Now you can see in here there's a very small spring. So if I take out the shoulder button, we've got a small little post and a little spring. Let's see if we can just get that spring out. So the spring is very rusty, but that might be something that could be cleaned up. Let's have a look. It's still got some spring to it. So that might be something that the rust will just come off of. I'm going to set that over here as well with the screws. And the post is all fine, and the shoulder button itself is fine. In need of a desperate clean, but not too bad. There's one last little thing that we can take out, which is the actual cap for the infrared sensor. So there it is. So we can definitely remove the stylus sheath, as I like to call it. Let's go ahead and take all of the screws off of that. And then I think that we've actually gotten away with this back piece being okay. Like, obviously in desperate need of a clean, the stylus itself is missing, but that right there is absolutely fine. The 3 screws are absolutely fine. What is that? Is that just like a little foam pad? Yeah, that is. That's a foam pad. And then we've got the shoulder button up here with the completely ripped off connector. But the screws are okay. All the plastic looks rusty, dirty, stained, but fine. Yeah, all good. Obviously, absolutely had it. Oh wow, the button itself has actually stayed in there and come off from this ribbon cable. So that's really, really had it. Let's have a look. The spring. Where's the spring gone? The spring is dead. The spring has died. That is no longer a spring. Shoulder button itself looks okay. And then we've got the remnants of the button stuck inside. Uh-oh. Stuck inside. So that was once a shoulder button. So I've discovered the reason why these screws weren't turning, and that's because the threads, the little threaded sort of square piece here, they're both completely rusted. So I'm going to have to try and Dremel that out later and hopefully get that screw out. But that will mean that this piece here, this fundamental piece, is absolutely fine. So that is actually quite exciting. So we're going to carry on now. And see what else is going on down here. The SD card reader is completely kaput, which is not good. But yeah, let's just carry on, I suppose, and see what else we can find out about this DS. So there's 2 screws here for the joystick. Let's remove those. So those have both come out. Again, they're really, really grim, you know, but the rust will hopefully come off. So now we can pull that up and flip it over and hopefully remove it. Yes, we can. And great news, no rust on the contacts there. So that is actually a positive sign. I imagine that's probably had it. And there would just be no point in trying to use that again because it would never be as accurate, especially if it's got loads of rust and gunk inside it. So yeah, that has probably had it. Oh. Oh. Okay. Wow. Look at that. The slider just completely ripped off. But the good news, the pins are okay on the actual ribbon cable there. I don't think that's ever gonna work again. Look at the slider. Good grief. The microphone is kind of popping out, so I'm going to lift up that and take it out. So there's the microphone. Again, probably not something that's ever going to work again or work well. So that's probably had it. I'm going to just remove all of the screws on the motherboard now and take the motherboard out. Okay, so that is all of the screws removed. Now we've got a couple of little lanyard holders to pull out. So let's go ahead and do that. Like so. Now we need to unlatch the ribbon cables for the top screen, I think, is the main one. So let's go ahead and do that very, very carefully. Right. So now we can open this up. Oh no, the state of the inside. And try and... Do you know what? We might need to... I might need to undo... Oh my goodness, the amount of dirt that's just come out of there. I might need to try and undo the bottom screen as well, because I imagine that might be seized in. So let's go ahead and remove that. Okay. Oh no. Oh no, it's all over. It is all over. Look at the state of that. It's all over. Not good. Oh no. Did I ever hope that this was going to work, or was I just flat out lying to myself? So we need to remove this little, I think this is the Wi-Fi chip. That has come out. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So there's the motherboard. That is a lot of rust. Thick, thick layers of rust, and a bend in the actual board itself, which is never a good sign. And also that screw has torn the thread out of the shell. So yeah, that's not good, is it? That's not good at all. That is an absolute disaster. Not to mention the screen. I mean, we knew, there's no wonder there's been so much dirt coming out of this thing, because look at the state of that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Right, there's a small screw here, which I think is going to be the little cover piece for the slider. Yeah, there we go. So we can remove that and the actual volume slider itself. There we go. Those two pieces are okay. Yeah, we're going to have a long, hard think about what I'm going to do with this now, because this is not great, really, is it? There's the D-pad membrane, shockingly bad condition, but totally salvageable. Button, D-pad itself. The joystick, we can take that out. The joystick is honestly fit for a museum. Truly horrific. Look at that. Wow. Terrible. Okay, and then we've got the action buttons over here. Kind of feel like I should have been even wearing a mask with this. Taking all these buttons out. Holy moly. I'm like kind of a little bit confused as to what I'm gonna do now, to be completely honest with you. And unlike the fake videos, I can't just fall back on the footage of when this thing was totally fine. Oh yeah, we've got this whole strip along the bottom as well. Oh. Right then, let's get this screen out. Oh my god, no, that's actual dust.
Oh, shit. Hey.
So far, so bad. I'm not gonna lie, this is way worse than I thought it was going to be. Then again, I don't really know what I expected. Looking at just the screen alone is enough to suggest that this thing probably hasn't been very well looked after, but the extent of the rust inside definitely was a shock to me. I am going to I've actually ordered everything already. I'm going to order basically a replacement of everything other than the shell, but including the motherboard. Also, it didn't come with a battery. What I'm going to do, for the sake of science, I am actually going to attempt to clean this board up. I'm going to give it a really good scrub with basically some hot soapy water, and then I'm going to clean it off with a bunch of isopropyl alcohol, and then let it fully dry. And then I would be curious to put some power in it and see if there's any life in it. Because if it does kind of slightly work, and then for example the shoulder button doesn't work because that pad ripped off, then I would be tempted to try and like fix this board. But if it's just gonna be completely knackered, like, you've got to remember that if water's gotten underneath these chips, I'm not going to start replacing those chips. Maybe I'll send it to a friend and they can have a field day trying to get this working, but ultimately it's in about the worst condition as it could be, other than being in two halves. But like, let's not try and pretend that like I'm an absolute electronic wizard enough to be able to just bring this completely back to life. These boards are, you know, multi-layered, I believe, and also just extremely complicated. So yeah, I need to make a decision on that that's going to make sense. In terms of the rest of it, that bottom screen's never working ever again. This top screen is definitely not working ever again. All of the buttons and the rubber and the screws, they're all fine. Various things like, you know, the volume slider, that's completely had it. Possibly this shoulder button works. If it does, then we'll use that, because it would be nice to actually use some of the original components. Same with the microphone. If the microphone works, then we'll use that. But we're not going to be able to test any of these things until it's actually all been put back together. So we need to now carry on and take apart the top half. That 3D slide is completely had it. Now these are a little bit of a nightmare to get the screw covers off without causing any damage. And actually this rubber's completely knackered, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. You know, I just think this has been weather battered. I think it's been out in the sun, I think it's been out in the rain. I just think it's been absolutely battered by all of the elements. It's a truly destroyed thing, which is a real shame. But yeah, all of these rubber pieces, I'm not even going to bother and try and salvage, because they're just mush basically. So I'm going to set them over to the side and we'll have to deal with that. I just scratched the top. This piece we're going to need to replace anyway, because it's got this crack here. So I'm not too worried about it, but I am going to be giving everything a really sort of good going over with a magic eraser to see if that can breathe some life back into this. Right, let's see if we can get these screws out. Okay, that one's coming out. That's good. And another one. A good start. This is also going to be a challenge. It's also going to be a challenge to get the hinge remnants out of the shell, because that hinge is obviously completely snapped. So I've got no idea how that's going to go. But I really hope you guys are still enjoying this video. Okay, here we go. So let's try and lift this off. I imagine this is going to be rusty as hell in here. I might put the mask on. I'm going to put the mask on. What? Oh, for God's sake, it's bloody broken. Oh my God. Oh my God. Right, well, that was quite an experience, really, wasn't it? This thing is so badly damaged. I'm going to basically put all of the buttons and the components that are plastic and rubber and stuff into the ultrasonic cleaner. And I'm going to start the process of cleaning the shell and all of the buttons, because that's basically the only bit that's actually really kind of salvageable is that. I did manage to retrieve basically the only bits that weren't completely knackered from that front shell, which is the little kind of mesh that goes in front of the speaker. So that's good, but the rest of it was absolutely knackered. And obviously I did manage to get this top piece, but that's also really bad. Right, that's most of the bits that we're gonna be putting in the ultrasonic cleaner. So let's go ahead and dunk that all in there. Try and get them to sink to the bottom. Now this should loosen up all of the dirt. So basically this is gonna show how much we're actually gonna be able to sort of restore these components, because obviously they're gonna be kind of brown stained from all of the rust and stuff. Yeah, let's just give it all a little go in here for probably half an hour, and then I'm going to try and clean up the shell, and we can then work out quite what we're gonna do. But so far we've basically got a shell that's in terrible condition and some screws. Good.
So everything sat in my ultrasonic cleaner for about half an hour. You can see just how gross the water is, which is obviously a great sign. These components now just need a good scrub with a toothbrush and some elbow grease. As for the shell, I tried some bicarbonate of soda in some hot water in the hopes that it would loosen up the rust, but I'm going to leave these in there overnight, so we'll check back on them later. For now, I'm going to go through and clean all of these components by hand. Now, while some of the staining is still there, my goal at this stage is to just take off as much of the gunk as possible, and I can try a few things later on to improve them further. At the end of the day, this DS is never going to look mint, and actually, I don't know that I want that. Unfortunately, the joystick is at the end of its life, so I'll need to order another one of those. But as for all of these components, well, they were brilliant. Now let's go through and clean up the shell as much as possible. With the majority of the dirt now removed, the water had gone piss yellow. I then gave everything a scrub with a towel, and at this stage I still wasn't happy with the results. There's just so much rust staining in all of the crevices. I'll keep giving everything a scrub, but I'm definitely going to need to try something else. Now the hinge remnants were properly jammed in the shell with all of the rust, but I was able to poke it out from behind. This is a good example of something I really want to spend a lot of time cleaning. It just feels lazy putting it back in as it is, and it would forever bother me. So everything is majorly improved, but not as good as I'd like. So in this next section, I'm going to be taking everything one step further. To do this, I'm going to be using some magic erasers and some vinegar. I started off with just a small test on this hinge piece by dropping it into a little pot of vinegar. I also chucked in the yellowed light pipe. After about 15 minutes, I took them out and added some more baking soda to create a paste. I could then scrub them with a toothbrush, and the results were far better. So I repeated this for everything. With everything now further cleaned with the baking soda and vinegar, I wanted to give the black components of the shell a buff up with the magic erasers. This is effectively a very light sanding sponge which does a great job at removing light scratches and leaving a fresh matte finish. So let's go over everything, including the buttons. I wanted to have a go at restoring the screws, so let's put them into my ultrasonic cleaner. They're covered in oxidation and rust, and to be honest, they generally just look terrible. I put them into some little baskets to help keep them organized and separate, and then I put them into some watch cleaning and watch rinsing solution and sat them in the ultrasonic cleaner. Unfortunately though, this didn't do anything at all. So I tried putting them in some vinegar, and while this did make a difference, it also stripped them of their chrome coating and didn't fully remove the rust. I am glad I tried this, but I'm just going to be replacing them.
I am so pleased. I actually think this is going to look a lot better than I kind of expected it was going to look. I mean, obviously you can see, there's various bits of wear everywhere, but that to me is kind of patina. It's going to look like it's had some use, it's going to look like it had some life, but it's going to be absolutely immaculate inside, which is kind of the most important thing. And provided everything works and functions to perfection as if it was brand new, then I think it looking so battle scarred and worn is just going to be unbelievably cool. It's going to be kind of a sleeper 3DS, and also I'm going to be doing a software mod to it as well to make it region free, because obviously it's Japanese. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so pleased with how everything turned out. I mean, even, the things like the silicon membranes and whatnot, all the stuff that you just expect would have been stained permanently has all come out pretty good. There's tiny bits of staining in there, but again, that's a little bit of its life. I've given these a further little brush off camera just to make sure that they're really nice and spotless. So what are we gonna do about the inside? Well, surprise, surprise, I'm going to be replacing basically everything. I'm sure that's going to disappoint a lot of people, but to be completely honest with you, it is just not worth building a DS with a whole bunch of parts that have been seriously badly water damaged. And also, what am I supposed to do? I mean, basically the only thing that could be potentially saved is this, because everything else was either completely destroyed or just non-existent. So, I mean, I'm not sure there's going to be a huge amount of surprise, but I'm sure there will be some disappointment to that. But I have managed to find a replacement Japanese motherboard. It was about 50 quid, which is obviously quite a bit of money, but the way that I see it is there's still going to be one less broken 3DS in the world and one more working 3DS in the world. So in a way, even though it's a little bit of a triggers broom situation, it's not the same DS, it's going to be mostly the same DS, I would say. I mean, from all of its kind of functional physical functional components, which I think is really important. So yeah, I've literally gone out and I've bought screens, I've bought all of the sort of the ribbon cables, the shoulder buttons, the joysticks, even the little joystick kind of cover things here, new volume sliders and cameras. I mean, the camera on the last one had just torn apart, it was absolutely knackered. A new microphone, a new touch screen, a replacement battery, and a top screen as well. The other thing that I've bought, which is kind of a crucial component considering lots of the little various bits, you know, the screws, I was just not happy with how they looked. I've also managed to buy a replacement shell. Now the quality of this shell is not going to be very good at all. It's going to be, it's an aftermarket shell at the end of the day. It's not going to be great. That being said, we do need this piece right here, because obviously on the original one that came with it, it was completely smashed. So one of the things I wanted to do was just put these bits next to each other and see how they look. And you know what? That looks absolutely fine. You cannot tell immediately that this is not the one that's from it. So yeah, I'm extremely excited to put this all back together. I think it's going to look absolutely fantastic. But the other brilliant thing is that this shell is going to come with all of the sort of the adhesives. There's various bits of foam that we need to stick down. It's got the actual top screen sort of plastic, and then it's also going to have all of the screws as well somewhere. They're in here. Even this little metal shield that was completely rotten. So we are, oh, it came with a stylus. That's annoying. I had to order a stylus. But yeah, we are going to be able to now build a beautiful, awesome, historical, characterful Nintendo 3DS with all new components inside. Just look, by the way, at how bad the fake text is on this. It just looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. It's going to look way, way cooler having the proper character and history of the original DS. So let's just go for it.
So the first thing we need to do is prepare the top shell. There's a bunch of foam pads that came with the aftermarket shell, which need to be stuck down in specific places. This is to help hold the screen in place and help with the vibrations. Next up is this small light pipe. Now I didn't realize, but the tabs that hold this together have snapped off, which makes sense because when I got this, it was all bulged open. You can see what they're supposed to look like on the aftermarket shell. However, on the red one, they're all completely snapped off. So let's fix that. I removed the remnants of the tabs with a Dremel and then whipped up a basic 3D model on Fusion. I then printed them off. With those printed off, I could then glue them into place. I appreciate this doesn't look pretty, but remember, it's going to be on the inside. But most importantly, does it work?
Yes! Oh my god, that is so sick.
So now we can get to work putting the rest of the 3DS together, starting with the top screen. I'll then need to fit all of the other components like the cameras and speakers. This is all very tricky and fiddly and needs to be done in a specific way. So wish me luck. So by far, the most horrible job of all of this is getting the ribbon cables through the hinge. Everything needs to be rolled up and pushed through, then a small little metal tube needs to slide over to protect the ribbons and act as a pivot. And then I can fit the actual hinge piece. Now I can go ahead and screw the shells together and add the new screen lens. I'm gonna fit everything inside the bottom half of the shell in preparation for installing the motherboard. Now this is the other awful part of the reassembly, and I must confess I actually had to take everything apart again because I got the order of the ribbon cables wrong. I also made a huge mistake, but I'll tell you about that at the end. With everything now installed, I can screw it all down.
What a journey this has been. I have managed to get this DS working again. I know it's not the exact same DS, but when you think about the condition that it was in and all of the components inside it, that was never going to work. But in terms of basically every single other piece of the physical DS besides this one shell piece here that was absolutely destroyed, is the original DS. And I've done the best I could, you know. I mean, ultimately, a lot of the point of this video was kind of showing how unrealistic these restoration videos are, these fake restoration videos where they're so sort of perfectly destroyed so that the thumbnail looks amazing, you know, but the reality of that is far, far different. I kind of hope that this video serves as a little bit of a you know, a standard of what a incredibly destroyed DS legitimate restoration would entail. It's not just going to be something that you can run under the water and all of the dirt and grime and fake rust will just wash away. It's you know, irreversible damage is done to the components when it's left out in the elements, and I think we can safely conclude that that is what happened with this DS. I think it's likely that this has been out in the sun, hence why it's kind of gone this like faded color down here, and out in the rain, hence why everything was so horrendously rusted. Now, I just wanted to do a tiny little bit more sort of polishing with some Mr. Sheen, because that is an old staple of the channel and I've not used it in a while, which will make it look as good as it can possibly be, but I'm really happy with how it looks. The fact that it is going to function like a perfectly working, all brand new DS, which is basically what it is, except while looking like it's been run over by a tank. I am very, very pleased with that sort of appearance. I think it looks really, really cool. And obviously, it all works absolutely perfectly. Now, the only thing I haven't done yet is software modded it so that it can read English 3DS games. At the moment, it's only going to be working with Japanese 3DS games, but the regular DS games are region unlocked, so you can play any DS game on a Japanese Nintendo DS, 3DS. So this actually, as it happens though, is a Japanese game, but this is a Club Nintendo game. I think it's just called Balloon Fighter, and you basically just fly around and pop other people's balloons while trying to not have yours be popped. It's quite a fun, wholesome little game. It's a very sweet little game. Well, maybe not wholesome because you are actually like making people fall out of the sky. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that everything works. The touchscreen and everything all works perfectly well. All of the buttons work. Everything works. I'm so unbelievably pleased. The only thing that actually doesn't work is the 3D part of it. I think that it's something to do with the aftermarket screen. For whatever reason, it just does not work. But all the cameras work absolutely fine. You can see them over there, and the L and R buttons all work absolutely fine. Let's see if we can take a little selfie. There we go. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. Honestly, what a transformation! What a great, fun, enjoyable project for all the family. So, two things. First thing, I have not done anything with this yet. I'm actually going to send it to a friend, and I'm going to do a follow-up video on my second channel at some stage to see if we can actually get this working. It is out of my league. I'm sorry, it is out of my league. Second thing, I mentioned earlier I made a massive mistake. You will notice there is another motherboard here. I did something that I've never done before while trying to assemble this. The small latch for the ribbon cable popped off. So I don't actually know what to do now about that. I'm going to have to send this board to someone who can replace this connector, if that is even possible. I have no idea how that would be possible, but surely there's someone who knows how to do that. So I'm going to do a follow-up video, like I said, on basically these two motherboards over on my second channel. But I just wanted to be honest about that. I could have lied, but in the spirit of the fact that this video is kind of about the truth, I felt like I needed to tell you that. So I actually had to get a different motherboard, which is funny. The other thing as well, I've been really excited about putting this DS in this case. I think the idea of this kind of shell for me was that it's going to look like an exhibition piece in a museum. You know, it's had this history, it's had all of this life, and now I can preserve it behind this this transparent case. The other thing, the little latches that I 3D printed, they have worked an absolute treat. You can see that it's not pulling apart. However, in the middle, there was more latches which were absolutely tiny and I couldn't have done anything about. But this transparent shell should actually solve that problem if we just slot it over there like that, because it has these little latches right here that actually pop over the screen like so, the top screen, and that closes it all up. So you can see now there's no gap, so it's all completely protected, and that is exactly what I wanted it to look like. A little museum exhibition piece. Look at that. Oh my goodness. And once it's been software modded so that it plays the PAL region games, this thing is going to be the absolute bee's knees. So there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed. This is the longest video I've ever made in my career, and you'll have to let me know if you've enjoyed it. I would like to hear from you guys and see if I can improve in any way. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all very soon. Goodbye.